Just kind of curious. Alex threw for more yards on Sunday than he did in any of his 10 starts when he was here in 2018. Is that just because you guys were behind and you needed to throw more, or is there something there with maybe his comfortability in the offense?
I think Alex is very comfortable. I didn't even know that stat right now until you told me that. We hit a couple plays down the field. Obviously, really, once he got in there, starting with really his third drive, and when you hit chunk plays, those yards seem to add up. And then in the second half, we mixed a couple runs early, but really we were throwing the ball, and Alex doing a great job finding completions, and guys were getting some yards after catch. And like I said, we hit the 45-yarder to Cam. He had a couple more that were over 30 apiece, and then obviously the big one to Terry. So, that those add up, and it was good. It got us back in the game. Obviously, we weren't able to finish the deal, but um, I think Alex does have a good comfort level in the offense.
And obviously, the conditions were much better than when he went in against the Rams. But did you see how was his decision making in terms of firing off the ball down the field, not resorting to checkdowns, that sort of thing? How would you evaluate that?
Um, you know the the first game, the conditions were bad, and a lot of it was, there was a couple things. The first game that he played, they were doing a nice job of getting to the quarterback, and the ball was heavy and hard to grip, so it was really hard to get it down the field. So he was just looking for kind of the quicker option, get it out of their hand, and they did a good job rallying and tackling, and that was just a bad deal all the way around. This next game, I think it was like having played already, post injury. Um, the better conditions, he was able to get through his progressions, look down the field, and obviously make those plays.
You
Hey Scott, you've talked, regularly throughout the year of wanting to establish the run, and I guess there was a statistic that this was the first time in the franchise's existence that you guys had less than 10 rushing attempts in a game. I know game script and turnovers and all that factored into that, but I guess my question is, how hard is it to establish the run game when you're battling turnovers, when you're battling a deficit, when you're battling a good run defense like the Giants had in a game like Sundays?
Yeah, obviously, you look at the game sheet and you kind of evaluate everything, and you see you have 9 rushes. Not what we're trying to do, or we're trying to be more balanced. But every game comes up different, and all those things that you said right there, that's what led to that. I mean, if you look at the way the game went, we turned the ball over in the first play of the game on what would have been an explosive play. We had a 3-and-out where we had a couple plays that we could have made, or things didn't go our way. We muffed the punt after that. So when we got the ball, it was we were down 10-0. Now at that point, it's still early. It was still the first quarter, and we still mixed some. We made a couple plays throwing the ball, and then I think quickly after that, we had 19 plays before that 2-minute drill before the half. We turned the ball over again at the end of that after moving down the field and showing some promise. And then we were down 17 at half. We actually had a couple runs on that 6-play drive, the touchdown drive, where we hit the big play to Cam. But then we were having success throwing the ball as well, too, like we talked about with Alex, and pushing the ball down the field and finding completions. So we just had a good rhythm. So we kind of stuck with it. There were some plays where they were actually some run pass options where the ball got thrown. We could have had a couple other carries there, but we were able to get successful plays throwing the ball. So we're just going to go with kind of what works, and you got to be able to adapt. And if you want to be a good offense in this league, which is what we're working to become, you got to be able to do both. And when you need to run the ball, you got to be able to run it, like we were able to do against Dallas, when we had the lead. And then when you got to battle back and stay alive and try to give yourself a chance to throw it, you got to be able to throw it. And really, ideally, you'd like to be balanced.
Ben?
Hey, Scott. Obviously, you guys have had a lot to work with at quarterbacks at all different stages of their careers. Steven Montez fits in there somewhere. What have you kind of seen with his development, and what's been the thing that you guys have primarily been working on with him to get him further along?
Yeah, so Steven doesn't get a ton of reps. He'll get a few scout team reps sprinkled in here and there, but being before this week, he got more reps today with the scout team than than he ever has, now that he's the third guy. But, as being the fourth guy, this whole season, his work is done in individual, as well as, in the classroom, and then we have, our quarterback coach, Ken Zampese, as well as Luke Del Rio, who is in the room and helps out. Those guys have done a great job, spending a little extra time with them, Luke in particular, of just, teaching him the offense and bringing him along and developing him as a young, up and coming player. He's a physical guy. He's a guy, the guys that are at that point, the young players that are your practice squad guys, those are the guys that really missed out the most, losing an off season, losing a traditional training camp. The young quarterback misses out the most as far as losing preseason games, because, it's hard to tell what you got until the bullets are live at that position. So, he's a guy that we're just continue to work with. And, he's really followed along with, with the older guys, and learning by example.
And to that, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh. Hey, Scott. How much did your offense change? Maybe that's probably the wrong way to say it. How much did your approach change in the game on Sunday when you went from Kyle to Alex? I assume there's different things that you guys were doing with the two guys.
Yeah, to a certain extent, they're pretty similar. I mean, there's not a huge difference. I mean, both guys are, cerebral guys. They're going to read the defense. They're going to get the ball where it needs to be. The game plan that we had prepared all week, that was the game plan, for them, that obviously was geared a little bit more towards Kyle, but Alex is more than capable of doing all that stuff. So, Alex, credit to him, a guy that, as the number two, you're not getting a lot of reps during the week. We get a couple here and there, but, it was Kyle, and, but I called it as if he was ready to play, because I know Alex is a pro and he was prepared even without the reps. And, for the most part, he executed. Obviously, there's some plays that he would like to have back, but, he gave us a chance to win that game.
JP?
Hey, Scott, you got to go back to 2016 to find a game where two Washington wideouts had more than 100 yards receiving each. Obviously, Terry and Cam did that last week. We know what Terry is at this point. Is Cam's performance an outlier, or how much do you think you can lean on him the second half of this season?
Cam has been great. And the thing about that is, there's a personal side to this business, and, when you got a guy like Cam who, I saw a quote Terry had about him that he just, he doesn't say much. He just comes in and gets his work done every day. And, obviously I'm sure he was disappointed at the beginning of the year when he didn't make the team. He's on the practice squad, but, he worked at it and he took advantage of the opportunities he had on special teams. And, that got him a spot on the 53. And then, we had some guys get banged up and he stepped in and he had opportunities. He made the most of that opportunities, and that got him more. And now he's made the most with the opportunities that he has had. Obviously had the one big catch against Dallas, and then the three really huge plays, especially the one, the beginning of the second half, that really kind of gave us some juice to get us going. And I think that guys see that, and I think Cam feels that, and it gives him confidence and gives the other players confidence, gives us confidence. And, he's going to get more opportunities, and he's going to get a chance to see. We're going to see what he can do. And we'll see, we'll see, and we'll continue to evaluate him like we do the rest of our teams. But no, I'm excited about Cam, and I'm excited about him, and I'm excited for him too. It's a great deal. He's a great guy, and, he's worked for it. And, obviously we didn't have the team success, but for him to have that individual success was good, and I'm happy for him.
John,
thanks. Hey, Scott, I'm curious with Antonio Gibson, and obviously JD is your third down back, but Antonio hasn't had much of a role on that down, whether it's combined or combined with JD or just by himself. Can you just kind of explain, I guess, the thought process behind a more limited role for him on third down?
Yeah, I mean, when you're a young player, and especially with a guy like Antonio, and we've kind of talked about this throughout the course of the year, you got to balance the physical with the mental. Like physically, he can do everything. We know that, and then it's just mentally, how much do we give him before it just overloads, and yesterday, this past Sunday, and it's something that I've said to him, and he knows it, that it was a tough game for him on Sunday. And, obviously starting off the game with a fumble is not what you want. And then he had a couple other plays where, he's got to be better on. And, he needs to just, make sure that and Antonio is our guy. We're going to continue to give him the ball. We believe in him. I told him that, he reminds me a lot of a guy, DJ Moore, that we had in Carolina. Obviously they play different positions, but just a young player, who, had some ball security issues. Not that Antonio does. He's had the one issue, but just that, it doesn't get you until you get you. And he's got to, fight through those things. But what we don't want to do is get him to where he's overwhelmed and he's not playing fast. I mean, we brought him in, obviously the big third down we had in the third quarter, he was in on the play that we threw to Cam, so we have had him on some, but, JD's done a really nice job in that role. Both running the ball as well as catching it and our pass protection stuff. So that's just kind of what we're doing. And that's something that, Antonio, his role is going to continue to grow throughout the year and as his career continues to go on.
Thank you.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Am I working? Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we got you.
Excellent. With Alex Smith, when you first got here, obviously he was a guy who had not played any football yet, coming back from the injury. When was the first time you kind of saw him or saw what he was doing and thought, this is a guy who could eventually get back on the field? Because I think a lot of people didn't see that coming.
I wasn't sure, and really, I've always kind of let that up to the doctors and the trainers. So they made that decision as far as when he was able to practice. And when we took him off the PUP and he started practicing and you watched him and you could tell, yeah, he was a little rusty, but you could say, hey, he can do this, and the way his movement skills, throwing the football, all those types of things. Again, it took a little bit of time and he had to knock a little bit of that rust off, but it was evident pretty soon that, hey, he's going to get back into this and he's going to be a guy that can compete, and play. And I think that the way we handled it of working him back into it, was good. And there were kind of steps along the process. Getting on the field for the first time against the Rams, obviously no one was happy with how that went. Then getting back out there this past week, and he did a lot of really good things. Like I said, we didn't get the job done, but that's not formally on him. Obviously we said that there's some plays he'd like to have back. And then now this next step of him going and preparing all week, getting all the reps in practice and be able to start and give us a chance to go win a football game. And he's built his way up to this point.
We'll take a couple more. Pete Haley.
Hey, Scott, with all this quarterback shuffling, 3 starters now through 10 weeks, do you feel like you haven't gotten a chance to fully show your offense yet because you're having to get a new guy acquainted and then a couple weeks later it's another new guy? What's it been like so far trying to handle all of that?
I don't know. I mean, there's no excuses in this league. The guys that we have available, that you got to get them ready to go play. And that stuff, maybe you'll look back at over, later in the year. But right now when you're in it, that's my job. My job is to go get our offense ready and give us the best chance to win, and I gotta keep working at it. I got to do better. Obviously we got to find ways to win some of these close games that we've had a chance to win. But whoever we have available, that's who we got to get ready to play. And we got to, use the quarterbacks that we have, play to their strengths and go and not worry about that other stuff. Cause I get what you're saying, but there's nothing you can do about it, and that's part of this business. It's a physical game. You're going to have guys in and out of the lineup at all positions. Obviously it's hard when it's quarterback, but that's part of the job, and we gotta keep working at it.
Rhiannon.
Hey, Scott. On Monday, we were talking to Ron. He was describing basically the fact that the team is going to try to evaluate whether the franchise quarterback is on the roster at this time. And I'm kind of curious, over the next 8 games, does your evaluation of the guys change, knowing that that's kind of what you all are looking for long term? And then second part is, with your experience around the league, with your father and stuff like that, what makes for a good franchise quarterback in your opinion?
Well, first part of your question, we're going to evaluate everyone. Obviously the quarterback is the most important position on the offense, so we're really going to look at that. Like has been stated, this is Alex is the 3rd quarterback we've played this year. We evaluate our guys in everything they do in practice, in the meeting room, everything. So we'll continue that. I mean, that's an everyday deal for us. And then There's a lot, and physical traits are one part of it, but they come in all shapes and sizes. I mean, you look when you guys watch games on Thursday nights or on Sundays or Monday nights, it gets done in a lot of different ways. Some guys, they stand in the pocket, they deliver the football, accuracy, ball placement. You got to be accurate. You got to make good decisions. And then, other guys will stand in there, maybe able to throw a stronger arm. Some guys don't have the strongest arm, but they anticipate well, or they're really mobile. They can make a lot of plays with their feet, like Kyler or guys like Josh Allen, stuff like that, that kind of make it happen. The physical traits that you could talk about this forever, but mentally, they're always guys that are accountable. They're accountable to themselves, their teammates, and their coaches. They're the hardest working guys in the building. They hold, like I said, they hold other people accountable as well as themselves. And they have that kind of that it factor. The guys that I've been around, that's really what you see from the position.
If I may ask a quick follow-up just based on what you said, you talked about other teams and what works for them, but I guess for Washington, what would make for the right franchise quarterback in your system for this team in particular then?
It's hard to answer, because it's not like you get to build it. You got to kind of evaluate what's available and then pick from there. I think, like I said, like we've been flexible in this offense. I mean, we've had guys like Cam Newton, and early in 2018, before he got hurt, he had a lot of success. This offense, not me, but when my dad was running it in San Diego, Phillip Rivers, they went to the AFC Championship game. They had the number one offense in the league with a guy like Phillip, and I don't think you would look at Phillip Rivers and Cam Newton and think that any one of those guys has a lot of physical traits the same, but they both have it. They both have what you're looking for as far as the mental, the approach, the competitiveness that you need from that position. So it really, you really got to just look at all available options and then go from there.